IBM presents You Make the Call.
U.S. Justice Department says inmates sent home due to cornholio will not be returned to prison. Now, anybody that's been paying attention the last couple years knows that the Defund the Police movement has been a concerted effort to lower the numbers of police, while at the same time they are releasing violent criminals, not just low-level offenders, but people who participated in riots, burning of buildings, looting of businesses, and actual murder in the wake of the George Floyd and Jacob Blake riots. So, communism is alive and well, at least the tenets that they take power by. So releasing prisoners, violent criminals, etc., into citizenry, into society, during the Defund the Police movement is an attempt to get the citizens to cry out for a police state. There's not enough police. 911 might take 10 hours to get there. So this guy, he's focused on those pesky domestic terrorist parents at school board meetings. So let's read from Reuters. U.S. Justice Department says inmates sent home due to cornholio will not be returned to prison. The U.S. Justice Department on Tuesday announced it would not force federal inmates who were sent home due to cornholio to return to prison once the emergency is lifted. The decision represents a major reversal for the department's Office of Legal Counsel, which had previously issued an opinion that said the Bureau of Prisons had no legal authority to keep inmates at home once the cornholio emergency had subsided. It also marks a victory for criminal justice advocacy groups who have fiercely lobbied the department and the White House to take steps to ensure that law-abiding low-level inmates would not be forced back into prison. Quote, thousands of people on home confinement have reconnected with their families, have found gainful employment, and have followed the rules, Attorney General Merrick Garland said in a statement. Earlier in the day, Garland had met with several inmates on home confinement to hear about their experiences. In 2020, Congress passed the CARES Act, which broadened the Justice Department's authority to release low-level inmates into home confinement during the pandemic to ease crowding and reduce the spread of cornholio. But in January of this year, the department's Office of Legal Counsel issued a controversial opinion that found that once the emergency is lifted, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, quote, must recall prisoners in home confinement to correctional facilities, end quote, if they do not otherwise qualify to remain at home. Dozens of advocacy groups, including the American Civil Liberties Union, the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, the Justice Action Network, and FAM, a group that opposes mandatory minimum sentences, have urged the Justice Department to overturn that opinion. They have also pressed the White House to use its clemency powers to commute the sentences of those who were sent home. From March 2020 through December 6th of this year, more than 35,000 inmates have been sent home, all under all of the Bureau of Prisons' various legal powers. As of December 6th, the Justice Department said that 4,879 prisoners were in extended home confinement under the CARES Act authority, and more than 2,800 would have been returned to prison once the emergency was lifted if the prior legal opinion had remained in place. Quote, this is excellent news for thousands of people and their families to get before the holidays, end quote, FAM President Kevin Ring said in a statement. Quote, there is no way the people on CARES Act home confinement should have been sent back to prison, and we are very grateful to the Biden administration for fixing this mistake, end quote. Garland said on Tuesday that he is also planning to direct the Bureau of Prisons to launch a rulemaking process that will ensure that inmates in home confinement will, quote, be given an opportunity to continue transitioning back to society and will not be unnecessarily returned to prison." End quote. While Tuesday's announcement gives the BOP discretion to keep inmates home, it does not guarantee that everyone sent home will qualify to stay there. Those who violate the Bureau of Prisons terms and conditions could lose their home confinement privileges. By and large, however, the majority of inmates who have been sent home since 2020 have complied with the rules. Well, I think we all know that there have been several instances of criminals being released and reoffending pretty much every crime you can think of. Also, that Minnesota Freedom Fund that Kamala Harris was retweeting and promoting bailed out, I don't know if it was multiple, I know of at least one criminal that went on to commit murder. And I'm sure if we dove into it, we would find many more. So, do you think this is a concerted effort on the part of the American Communist movement to increase crime to a level that we have not seen since the 60s and 70s amid a shortage in police officers to get the citizens to cry out for a police state? That is exactly where my mind went as soon as I saw this headline and read the article. Let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate everybody watching, and I'm going to have some big news coming up in the next couple of days. I'll probably just start dropping little bits of it in videos, so I would appreciate if you guys would check me out, share this. You can find me on my Patreon, on my Odyssey, on my YouTubes, on my Rumble, all at Clintstone's World. Comments me.